daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Road to World Cup 26 podcast. My name is Nick Britten. I'm joined, as I always am, by my esteemed colleague, the smartest man in his own brain ever to watch football, the Beaver himself, Mr. Ken Davies. Hello, Ken. How are you?
Good morning, Nick. I'm very well, actually. It's Saturday. It's got a football-y feeling, but there's no Premier League games today, so we can properly focus on the World Cup, and I'm looking forward to it.
We can properly focus on the World Cup. I'm off to see a World Cup game a little bit later on. I'm watching England versus Andorra.
0-0.
See, it better not be.
0-0.
If it is.
0-0 at half-time, guarantee it.
Oh, God. Just imagine it's going to be 0-0 at half-time, and then, they score, Harry Kane will score in about 70 minutes.
Yeah.
By which time I probably would have left, I'm not going to lie.
Good luck on that one, mate. Good luck on that one.
Well, we hope. We hope for a goal fest. We're hoping after England got their backsides handed to them by Senegal last time out that Tuchel's going to give it a little bit more. Give it a little bit more. But as always, we're focusing on a team that has qualified for the World Cup. Today we're taking a trip to the land of the Pharaoh. I don't know whether you were nodding your head along in improvement or just nodding along generally or just nodding off because it's early Saturday morning here. What do you think of that, Ken?
Slightly nodding off because it's too slow for.
Right.
I mean, we've become quite expert, haven't we, in national anthems? It's just a bit slow. It sounds like the kind of a record that you've put on that should be back in the old days on 45. You've put it on 33. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. You are the judge of all things World Cup national anthems, so that's fine. So yesterday, of course, we are talking about Egypt, or Mo Salah's Egypt, as I suppose we should call them, and they were playing.
Marmoush's Egypt, if you don't mind.
Well, still Mo Salah's Egypt, I think.
Yeah.
And as always, we're going to bring you a bit of the news. There's loads of news. Just because last night there was just loads and loads of games going on. So there's been quite a bit of shifting around in terms of World Cup qualification. Ken will bring you the history of Egypt in the World Cup, and I'll look at 5 players, as we always do. We'll see how they play. Postbag today, we're going to talk about just the massive football. Now, for a start, we had an email in, this was a week or so ago, so we're just getting around to it today, around the amount of football, but it's actually been kind of exacerbated in as much one of the French defenders was talking about this week, just the sheer burnout that players are suffering. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on and how it's going to affect the World Cup. We have, of course, everybody's favourite time of the week, Kenny's quiz coming up. Quiz all about Egypt today, and we'll close off with our predictions. How are Egypt going to get on? I'm very interested to see how you think Egypt's going to do, actually, Ken. So we'll come to that a little bit later on. But for now, let's have your breaking news. And let's go. Yeah, now there's a lot to go through here very, very quickly because there's loads of games yesterday. I think we'll start in CONMEBOL in South America far away because pretty much qualification was decided in one fell swoop yesterday. So Uruguay, Colombia and Paraguay all qualified yesterday. So that's the automatic qualifications finished now. And that's it for Venezuela and Bolivia in terms of automatic qualification. And they're the 2 teams who are going to battle it out for the playoff spot. It also means
because we did Paraguay kind of on a limb, like we're doing a bit on a limb today, but they got through, so we were right.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah. When I said at the outset, we're going to do teams who've already qualified. Of course, Egypt haven't already qualified, but we fully expect them to. So goodbye Peru and Paddington Bear. Goodbye Chile.
1978. stripy shirt.
Yes, it'll be another 4 years at least until we see them beat Scotland. And goodbye to Chile. Goodbye to Chile as well. What a sad time for Chileans this morning, waking up. The World Cup dream is all over. But congratulations to those who have qualified. And top of the tree, worth noting here, is, of course, Argentina. Now, they won 3-0 last night, so no problem there. But notable for the fact that Lionel Messi scored twice on his last competitive game in Argentina for Argentina. And in doing so, equalled Cristiano Ronaldo's record in terms of all-time leading goal scorers in World Cup qualifying. So on 36. So Messi went in on 34. Ronaldo's in on 36. So they are now both on 36. But they're only in second place. They're only in second place because the record still is held by Carlos Ruiz on 39. Now, Argentina have got one more game, I think, in terms of qualifying, which will be next week. Portugal, though, are way behind. So Ronaldo's got a really good chance because UEFA's way behind in qualifying. You pulled a face there, Ken. Like you didn't like
I would always choose Messi over Ronaldo. It's just a personality thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Ronaldo's got a great chance to get back.
Would you rather be stuck in a lift in with Messi or Ronaldo?
If I was stuck in a lift with either of them, I'd be very excited.
Yeah, I know, but you've got to choose one. You can only have one.
Well, I think Cristiano speaks better English, so at least I'd be able to have a conversation with him.
Fair enough.
Whereas Messi, you just kind of look at him and go, it's Messi. For 8 hours whilst you're waiting for the fire service to come and get
that's enough for me. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
So CONMEBOL is pretty much done and dusted other than one more game to see who's going to get in the playoffs. In South Africa, and we're talking about South Africa today in many ways. Now then, Morocco are in. Morocco have qualified after last night's game, so many congratulations to them.
Well done, Morocco.
Egypt won, and we'll talk about that today. They won 2-0 with goals from, well, who else really? Mo Salah and Marmoush. South Africa also won, so they're taking a big step. It was a busy day. It was a busy day in qualification in the African Federation. We saw lots of wins, lots of progression, but other than Morocco, no clear qualifiers, but certainly progress being made along there. So there is
lots of games on Tuesdays. There were a few more people falling out on Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, no, very much so. There's also a busy weekend in UEFA. Lots of games last night, lots of games today. Looking down the big hitters, no great surprises. France won 2-0 away in Ukraine. Italy, whose form has been pretty wretched for quite a long time, had a big win against Estonia, 5-0 at home to Estonia. And everybody else kind of did what you expect them to do.
Germany lost away.
Germany lost away. I haven't got that on my list.
2-0. Slovakia.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I haven't got that on my list.
Germany lost the first opening World Cup game the other day. And
what was that then?
I think that was on Wednesday.
Ah, right. Yes. No, Thursday. You're quite right. Sorry, I was just looking at my list from yesterday. You're quite right. Sorry, let me get my papers in order here. Yes, they lost 2-0 away at Slovakia. Goodness, yeah, that was a real surprise. A real surprise.
Good, because we think Germany are a bit ropey, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yeah, absolutely do. We're going to come to them at some stage of this podcast. But elsewhere, 3-0 win away from home for Spain to get them off to a flyer. Ken, I did note on Thursday night that Wales had won a game, just for you. Wales won 1-0 away at Kazakhstan.
Yeah, and who scored?
The guy who now plays for Wrexham. Yeah, Kiefer Moore scored, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And he didn't score with his head, even though he's 6'11". He scored,
right. I thought
on the ground.
I thought it was in his contract. He was only allowed to score headers.
So did I. But it doesn't apply to the Wales games, obviously. And it was a nice finish from the edge of the six-yard box. We were absolutely dominant, though. So far, we're doing better than Germany.
You are doing better than Germany on the basis that you've won the game. So well done for that. So good start for Wales. Good start for the big hitters, other than Germany, obviously. And yeah, more games today, so we'll be able to bring you up to date with and next week. So actually, when we do next week's podcast, we will have had we'll have loads of games.
I'm going to be doing it live from the south of France, though.
Are you? Well, lucky old you.
There you go.
Yeah, Wales are top of the group, by the way.
Yay!
Wales top of the group, played 5.
Stop the count, as Donald Trump used to say.
Yeah, but that's the good news. The bad news is that North Macedonia are second, 2 points behind with a game in hand. Belgium are third, 3 points behind with 2 games in hand.
Nice.
It's all to play for.
It's already. I think it's already in the bag. Quite honestly,
it's all to play for. What's already in the bag? Staying at home. Okay, so yeah, that's most of your breaking news. We're going to talk a little bit about interesting comments from Jules Koundé, the French defender, a little bit later on. Just one more thing on news this week. FIFA have confirmed that it will indeed employ dynamic pricing for tickets to the World Cup. We talked about this quite a while ago, didn't we, when it was mooted? Well, they've now confirmed it. The cheapest tickets will start at $60, which in UK money is £44, and in euros is somewhere in between. And the most expensive for a prime spot at a final starting at £5,760 or $6,730. I'm sure you've probably already got yours, haven't you, Ken?
Oh yeah, we've got media seats, haven't we?
And also, do you think? Should we try? I think we could. I think
we
are the only World Cup podcast in the world, and we're like 6 months old already.
Correct.
We've already passed our quarter century of episodes.
Episodes.
This is 26. So
I know. You know what? Guess what I'm doing this afternoon?
So that's your breaking news. I'm going to finish your sentence for you. When you said, guess what I'm doing this afternoon, is it applying for media seats for the World Cup?
Yes.
You should do that. You should.
Yeah.
You should. Okay. Right. Okay. We're going to focus a little bit on Egypt then. Ken, bring us a brief history, and I mean brief, a brief history of Egypt in the World Cup.
Right. Here we go. Okay. So this is a very interesting little bit of, I thought it was interesting to read up about Egyptian football history. Not something I've ever done before. By the way, just to clarify where they are, they're 5 points clear with 3 games to go. They've got a game against Burkina Faso on Tuesday. If they win that, they're definitely through because Burkina Faso is second. Now, history, oldest national football team, I should say, national team in Africa. They've won the African Cup of Nations a record 7 times. The World Cup, though, has always been a bogey competition for them. They've never, ever quite been able to turn their form at home into form at the World Cup. They've only made 3 appearances at the World Cup. They should have made 4. We did touch on this last week. They should have been at the inaugural 1930 competition, but why did they not appear there, Nick? Do you remember?
It's because they missed their boat. Because we talked about this last week, and I believe they got stuck inside a pyramid and therefore missed their boat. But we don't know about the pyramid bit, but we do know they missed their boat.
There's no talk about pyramids when I've researched this, Nick. I just want to put it. But what happened was this. They had to take 2 boats to get to the World Cup. A boat from Cairo to Marseille, and then a boat from Marseille to South America. Okay? Now, unfortunately, the boat from Cairo to Marseille, when they were on it, was in a storm. And the storm was so severe in the Mediterranean, which is a very unusual place to get a storm, I should add. It slowed them down sufficiently in the boat that the boat going to South America went without them. Can you imagine the annoyance? I mean, it's outrageous, isn't it? They're taking the Egyptian team to the World Cup, and they say, "Look, I'll give them another 5 minutes." It's like getting a coach to Skegness. I'll give another 5 minutes. They can get an Uber. They can get an Uber. That's what was happening in the 1930s in Marseille. So the boat to South America sails. A couple of days later, the Egyptian team turns up in Marseille in their boat with all their football gear and say, right, where's the boat? Where's the boat? Well, it's somewhere over by the Canary Islands now, I reckon. So they missed the connection on the boat.
The Egypt to Marseille is the short bit of the journey.
Yeah,
Well, that's the bit you can't really get too far wrong.
I suspect they may have cut it a little bit fine. They clearly didn't have any kind of contingency time in there.
Do you think they got there and they were just setting off, and they're like Mo Salah, the Mo Salah of the 1930s, went, "Oh, I forgot my boots. I'm gonna have to nip home and get them."
Oh no, shin
Yeah.
pads. Where's my shin pads? Yeah.
I think that.
Anyway,
Yeah,
there you go. There you go. So that's why they missed 1930. But they did qualify for 1934. They did qualify for 1990. They did qualify for 2018. 1934, by the way, was held where, Nick?
Oh.
Everyone knows the first one. Who knows the second one?
Well, I can tell you where it wasn't held. It wasn't held in Uruguay.
It wasn't held in Uruguay, right?
I'm going to go somewhere. Well, probably then somewhere in Europe.
Yes.
Because it'll Germany.
Yeah. No, Italy. Can you imagine the German World Cup in 1934? Hello.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Don't know what happened.
You disappeared from me completely.
Yeah, you disappeared from me completely. Don't leave me that way. Anyway,
can
you imagine the German World Cup in 1934? That would have been fun, wouldn't it? Can you imagine that? Anyway, no, it was in Italy. It was just as bad. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I was hoping to squeeze. I was hoping to squeeze a song into your. I was hoping you were going to say it was a night boat from Cairo that I could sing the Madness song to you, but you never got that far. When you were telling your story from boat, but there we are.
It probably was a night boat from Cairo.
You should get your guitar out. Your guitar's behind you. Get out and play this. It's great.
Anyway, so now the interesting thing about Egyptian World Cup history. In 1934, they went to Italy. Obviously, they're again sailing from Cairo to Italy this time. All the risks that are involved in a journey from Cairo to Europe. They got there. They lost to Hungary. They only played one game and they went home. They only had one game.
That's a long way to go. At least they got there this time.
At least they got there. But can you imagine if you'd been in the 1934 squad and all you've got to show for all these journeys is one game against Hungary that you lose 4-2? Anyway, they didn't then qualify, or they didn't choose to qualify for lots of competitions. But they did qualify for 1990. And they played 3 games. They won none. They drew 2. They lost 1. They drew 1-1 to the Netherlands. They drew 0-0 with the Republic of Ireland. And they lost 1-0 to...
I don't know. You're the one who's doing this bit of research.
England, Nick. England.
Well, why are you saying I should know that? You researched this segment. So
I have got an advantage here. And then they qualified for Russia 2018, rather. Played 3, won none, drawn none, lost 3. So the moral of the tale is 2 things. Never leave it too late to get a connection in Marseille. And secondly, Egypt have never won a World Cup game in their existence.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now, form, very quickly. Form over the last 2024 and 2025, 9 games. They've won 7. They've drawn 2. They've lost none. So obviously excellent form, but there is a bit of a question mark over the opposition standing. But in those 9 games, they've only conceded 2 goals. They've scored 16. Most of those 16 have been scored either by Marmoush or by Salah. Finally, on ranking, they're currently ranked 34th, which is consistent. They've consistently been around the 30 mark. The highest in 2010 was 9th, surprisingly to me. The lowest in 2012, so that was a catastrophic demise, so to speak. They were lowest 75th 2 years later. So they went from 9th to 75th. That takes some doing. But there's been a bit of a rise since then. So they're now the 30th and pretty much certainties to qualify for the World Cup. Nick.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed. Some good history there, Ken. I enjoyed that. There's an eventful past for very little to show for very little to show for it.
Nothing
Right,
really.
before we move on to our players, Ken, do you have a word from our sponsors?
Yes, I do. Because as we know in Egypt, as Hassan knows in Egypt, it pays to get your team selection right. And here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery partner. And we chose Zencastr because Zencastr makes it easy to bring your vision to life, to share it with your audience, wherever they may be. It's got 4K video recording, it's got AI editing, it's got absolutely top tier distribution tools, and they're all in one place. So if you've got a story to tell it with Zencastr, check the show notes and you'll find out lots more about it.
Right, we're going to have a look at some of our key players.
I can't hear any music, Nick.
Can you hear the music?
I can't hear any.
You bet, I can hear it. It's very loud and clear in my headphones. You're having a system nightmare today, you are.
As long as you can hear it.
You're having a system failure. Right,
I don't
okay.
think so. Go on.
Right, 5 key players. We're going to start off, as we always do, with the goalkeeper, Mohamed El Shanawi, and he is a very staple figure between the posts for Egypt. He's Egypt's long-time goalkeeper. He's captain of Al Ahly, which is in the Egypt Premier League, and is, and always has been, widely regarded as one of Africa's top goalkeepers. He's got 64 caps. He's 36 years old, so plays into our theme of old goalkeepers.
He's a baby then compared to others.
I'm going to add up the age of every single goalkeeper once all the teams are qualified, and just see. It's this every goalkeeper, with one or two exceptions, is in his early to mid 30s. 6'3", so he's a big lad. He's already played in 2 World Cups, so he's got plenty of experience. He didn't play in the 1930 World Cup because he was on the boat and missed the boat, but he's played in 2 since then. I know. Leadership from the back is very, very highly regarded. He's a good leader from the back. He's a good keeper. For a team like Egypt, I've got to say, he's a good keeper to have between the sticks. There's plenty of other teams, I think, who would like him. And I don't know if you saw this. He had a good World Cup, Club World Cup, rather, in the summer. I don't know if you saw this because it made big headlines. He made an unbelievable save from Messi in the opening game, where
yes, I did. I remember that. Yeah,
he kind of arched his back and flipped, just tipped the ball over. It was a great save. It was a great save. So still very agile, even at the age of 36. I think I could do that. Then again, I'm not 36. I wish. Player number 2 is Mohamed El Neni, the defensive midfielder, age 33. So lots and lots of experience. Plays for the UAE Pro League club Al Jazeera, although of course he is better known from his time at Arsenal, where he made 91 appearances between 2016 and 2024. So again, plenty of high-level experience here. He's a good. He's just a workhorse in the middle of the park. He just gets around.
Work camel, Nick. Work camel. He's a work camel.
He's a work camel.
They don't have horses in Egypt, do they?
He is a work camel. Not that I want to play into stereotypes, Ken. Honestly, some of us, I do all this research, and for what? Or just for what? I'll give up.
Sorry, Nick.
Right. He's the workhorse in the middle of the Egypt, and he's the engine room. He's the engine room of the team, essentially. He was named in the CAF, the African Federation's team of the tournament in AFCON 2021. He recently surpassed 100 caps, and even last year. So he joined Al Jazeera last year. So July 2024, he went there. And in his debut season, he's won the UAE League Cup and was also voted the UAE Pro League Player of the Season. So he's had a good year, he's in good form, and he's certainly one for look out for, I think, for Egypt. We then move into, as I'm going to talk about a little bit later on, I think Egypt are very top-heavy. They've got good strikers, but other than a good goalkeeper and El Neni, who's a good player, not too much else. So I'm going to go straight to the front line. I'm going to start with Mustafa Mohamed, 27. And the reason I picked him is because I think out of all the other players, he plays at the highest level still. He's a striker for Nantes in Ligue 1 in France.
Yeah.
So he is playing at a decent level, but he's not great. 47 appearances, 13 goals. So he's not prolific. Since he moved to Nantes, he has scored, 14 in 62 games. He does make headlines every year, though. This isn't Kenny's quiz yet. We'll come to this later on. Do you know why he makes headlines every year?
He's a newsreader in his spare time.
No, but he always refuses, refuses to play for Nantes in one game every year. And it's always the game where the French Football League, across the league, have an anti-homophobia day. And he always refuses to play. And this is in May 2025, which is his third season in a row, arguing that fighting against discrimination and persecution of homosexuals, which is the kind of banner, was contrary to his ethnic background and his Islamic faith.
Blimey.
And it always makes sense.
Flipping it. Old
that's Mustafa Mohammed.
Old Rainbow Mohammed up front.
I don't think you'll ever find that on his
Rainbow laces.
No, he'll definitely not be wearing any rainbow laces. In fact, I was going to say something. I'm not going to say. I'm going to move on. you know.
Move on.
Yeah, we're only going to get ourselves into trouble here. Omar Marmoush. It was quite funny though, and now I can't get it out of my head. But I'm not going to say it live on air. Right, Omar Marmoush, 26-year-old. Omar Marmoush is great. We've been watching him in the Premier League for Manchester City. He signed for City in January, and he's made an instant impact. Scored 8 goals across all competition in that time, and he's added real zip to what was a very inconsistent front line. If you remember last year, when Haaland was out, they just didn't really have. Until he came in. So it's either Haaland or nothing. But Marmoush has filled that gap really, really well. And whilst he might, he plays second fiddle, doesn't he, to Haaland at Man City? He'll play second fiddle to Egypt, to Mo Salah. But he is really, really good player. Really good player. Now, by the time, I think 3 days after the World Cup, Salah turns 34. So after it starts, not after it, but after it starts, he turns 34. So Marmoush has got to be the kind of natural heir to Salah's crown, I think, in the Egyptian team.
Do you, and I'm sure we'll get to talk to this very shortly, but do you think Salah's on the wane?
No, I don't. Well, look, he's 30. Well, he must be 33, obviously. Is he on the wane? I'm good at maths. I can do this.
Right.
I can do this. Is he on the wane? We always say he's on the wane. Then he pops up and scores like 10 goals in a row.
I know.
Then we all go,
I haven't been as impressed with this Premier League, though.
No, he's had a very, very indifferent start. But that's kind of the way Salah plays. He can do nothing for 89 minutes and then suddenly score 2 goals in the last 30 seconds of a game to win it.
Yeah.
That's just what he's like. Yeah, you're right. He's not. Well, look, we're not going to look. Let's finish Marmoush, shall we? Yeah. I had finished Marmoush. To be fair, that was it. But he's a very good player. I expect him to carry on playing well at Man City. I expect him to be, one of Egypt's top players at the World Cup next year. And then my final player is, of course, Mo Salah, nicknamed the Pharaoh by the press, the fourth pyramid by Egyptian fans. Grew up in the streets of Nagrig, just north of Cairo. And I read a really interesting interview this week about him when I was doing my research with one of his former coaches. He was just talking about, even at sort of 6-7 years old, he could just do things that none of his other teammates could, even though he was like half their size, and half their height. So what a brilliant player! We've been blessed to have him in the Premier League. 304 Premier League appearances and 187 goals. I always wonder whether Chelsea. So I remember first seeing when he was at Chelsea, and they're like, "No, he's not good enough. Let's send him out on loan. Let's sell him to Liverpool." I just think, look, on another podcast that you and I do, Ken, called Daily Premier League, I often bemoan Chelsea's transfer activity. I don't like the way they do business. I don't agree with it. They spend too much money. They've got far too many players. It's a constant revolving kind of merry-go-round.
And they waste talent, don't they?
They waste talent. They waste money. But one of the things they should always kick themselves for is thinking that Salah wasn't good enough and selling him to Liverpool.
Yeah, he did the same with De Bruyne, didn't he?
Yeah. So, one of the greatest Premier League players ever. He very much carries the weight of a nation on his shoulders, but he's a guy who embraces it. He's a really, really good guy. He's a nice guy, does loads of philanthropic work. He loves being the figure that everybody looks to. So, look, he's done everything. He's won everything at domestic level with Liverpool. Obviously, it's very difficult with Egypt to achieve anything, but on a global scale, not necessarily AFCON, but on a global scale, then we wish him well, because it will be his last World Cup next year, and I hope that we see the very best of him. In answer to your question, is he on the wane? Well, probably is, because all players, when they get to 33, are. But that doesn't mean to say that he's not absolutely dynamic still, that he's not starting every game for Liverpool, and that we won't enjoy another great season of watching him play.
He's an icon. I love watching him play. I think he's a great player. I hope he has a fantastic World Cup. Egypt need him, because if they don't get an absolutely on top of his form Mo Salah, they're going to struggle. But he scored the other day. So yep, good luck to Mo.
Good luck to Mo. So there's your 5 players, Ken. How are they going to line up?
It's an interesting one. I've looked back over the last 3 games Egypt played, and just to look at the formation. It's either a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. It is really the way it seems to work for those guys, and for Hossam Hassan is they tend to play a 4-2-3-1 against stronger opposition. They tend to play a 4-3-3 against weaker opposition. Al-Shanawi in goal, Hani, Rabia, Sobi, and Hanbi as the back 4. Generally, you mentioned El Nani. He certainly didn't feature in the last couple of games, but essentially, it's all about the front 3, and essentially, it's Mo Salah on the right, it's Marmoush on the left, and it's Mustafa Mohamed in the middle. It is. One of the things they played Faisal in the middle against the most recent game, centre forward. He plays for the National Bank of Egypt. I love these names, where they're kind of unusual names in these football teams. That he plays for the national. I don't know if it means that he actually works for the National Bank of Egypt, but he must get a discount, mustn't he, on his kind of bank charge?
He'll get great interest rates on his savings account.
Imagine, yeah, he gets like 98% interest rate. Anyway, so Faisal played centre forward, but you're right, Mustafa Mohamed generally does. So I reckon a 4-2-3-1 in the World Cup, essentially the pyramid formation.
You've just been waiting to say that all week, haven't you?
Thank you.
Yeah, get your pipe out. That was terrible. Right, okay. Before we have a very quick chat on Postbag, Ken, bring us another word from another of our sponsors, please.
Yeah, why don't I do that? Because Global Sports Podcast Network and the Road to World Cup is a big part of that, as well as loads of other things as well, which you need to find out all about, has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements, because your body is unique. And because without knowing what deficiencies you have, if you take just off-the-shelf supplements, you may not be getting enough of the nutrients you need. You may be getting too much of the ones you don't need. Because Bioniq provides 100% tailor-made supplements designed precisely for what your body needs at exactly the right levels. So click the link on the show notes, use the code GSPN2025 for your 40% discount off your first order. You'll be glad you did.
2 bits of Postbag then to bring you. One, very briefly, did you see the email this week from Angry Matt? Angry Matt's been back in touch with us. I sent you the emails.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
So Angry Matt is always one of my favourite correspondents. He's in touch with us quite regularly. But I'm afraid to say he's now on my blacklist. I'm no longer a fan of Angry Matt, because whilst he was... Well, I think I might, to be honest with you, because he was talking about he's a for those of you who don't know, who don't listen to this podcast on a regular basis, A, why not? And B, you're missing out on some great stuff. But Angry Matt has been a regular correspondent. He's based in England, and he's a big Nottingham Forest fan.
He's a bit one track, isn't he, Angry Matt?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He's a bit focused on one particular subject.
He always gets in touch when we mention anything to do with Nottingham Forest, and we did last week, where we talked about the English squad for today's game, and the fact that Elliot Anderson might be playing today, who of course plays for Forest. Anyway, he got in touch to say what do we think are the chances of Elliot Anderson playing, etc. And that's not what we're here to talk about today. But what he did say, Ken, was that I was generally talking nonsense, and he called you, by the way, the voice of reason.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what a load of absolute nonsense! He's got the whole thing completely the wrong way round.
No, I think he's hit the nail right squarely on the head there, Angry Matt. I think I've always liked him. I've always thought he's someone who looks at things in a very rounded way, and
a minute ago you were slagging him off. You're calling him one-dimensional.
Yeah, well, that was before I knew he'd said something nice about me. I've got one opinion, but if that doesn't work, I'll completely shift 180 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's the only one who does think you talk the voice of
Bless him.
reason, or
Good
indeed
lad.
talk any sense
And by the
whatsoever.
way, the answer to the first part of his question is 0. Is the chance of him playing.
Well, there you go. You've lost your voice of reason crown immediately. Then I'll be back as Angry Matt's favourite as of right here, right now. Right. The other thing we're going to talk about today is we've had a email in from, and I don't quite know how to pronounce this, so apologies, Job or Joby. I'm not quite sure how, but he's based in St. Louis in Missouri. And he said, look, over here in the USA, we've had the Gold Cup and we've had the Club World Cup over the summer. There are other tournaments taking place around the world in the summer, which essentially means footballers play all year round. Obviously, we've had the Nations League here in Europe. AFCON's taking place in January, February time, but that's going to be a big ask for African players. Is there too much football? Joe asked the question, will the World Cup suffer from too much football, and is it harming the game? And before I get your answer on this, Ken, comments this week from French defender Jules Koundé, and he's asked for a reassessment of football's congested calendar, saying that the excessive schedule is having a massive effect on players, but also what he calls the broader game. The families, people who work around football, they are what he calls victims of this relentless pace. And I guess the question is two things. He says sometimes in life when we overdo things, we stop appreciating them. So are we do we just take football for granted? When we see too much, we no longer give it the same importance, and that's what's happening with football. It's overconsumption. So you've got that, i.e., will interest kind of wane a little bit because we're so used to watching football? But also, will the World Cup suffer because we're just going to go in with injured players, tired players, and we're not going to see the best of everybody in the best competition in the world?
Well, yes. The answer to that is yes on both counts, I think. I was just, as you were framing that question, I was just thinking about some other sports, two other big global sports. So let's say NFL, baseball, basketball, athletics, cricket. All of them still have very, very defined seasons. Very defined seasons. So the NFL season is no longer than 24 weeks, and then that's it. That's it. Baseball, it's happening now, but it's going to be coming to a conclusion. It's essentially the spring and summer sport, but that's it. And it's the same for basketball. The problem with football is that what used to be a defined season is just not a defined season anymore. It is literally constant football. European competitions are starting in July. And there's the last games are in May. And then we've got to fit in all these national competitions. So I think the answer to your question is does this lead to a wane? I think the big competitions won't. The big competitions won't suffer, I don't think. But it certainly, I think, becomes, if you're a constant follower of football, if you actually go and watch the teams, it's increasingly expensive. But I think from a player's perspective, I think the risk of burnout is really intense. Now, there's going to be people who are going to say, well, they're not working down a coal mine. It's not exactly the most intense work schedule actually on a day-to-day basis. Don't think that's the point, really. It is, in my opinion, football is like thoroughbred racehorses. You wouldn't race them every day. And what we're doing, we're asking thoroughbred racehorses to race every day. And they just wouldn't consider that as being a sensible thing to do. But yet we do that with human beings and footballers. So, yeah, I think there's way too much football. I think we need to really assess that because it will start to affect performance, injury, and psychologically, I think players are going to suffer from that. Voice of reason.
Voice of reason. I tell you what, that was the most framed, sensible thing you've ever said on this. Well, not only on this podcast, but I've known you for years and 20 years, 30 years, 40 years
in my life.
Yeah, that is arguably the most sensible thing and the most well-rounded, well-constructed argument that I've ever heard you say.
Thank you very much.
Let's see how you get on with this then.
Oh dear.
It is, of course, everybody's favourite time of the week. It's time for Kenny's quiz. The pipe is out. He's looking pretty relaxed and happy. He was in good form. 2 out of 3 last week, so he's fancying it today. A couple of questions.
My knowledge of Egypt isn't great. And if you
Is it
get
not?
Cleopatra, Asp, and Pyramid, that's about it.
Okay,
That's
that's the
not.
end of Kenny's quiz for this week. Well done, Ken. 3 out of 3. Good man. The answer was Cleopatra. I'm going to have to think of some different questions now.
Right, go on. Hit me with
The
it.
first plague, look, you're a churchgoer, man. The first plague that God unleashed on the Egyptians when he sent Moses to free the Israelites. I deliberately, I de- okay, the look on your face. I deliberately chose this for you because, like, you go to church every Sunday.
I do.
The first plague that God unleashed on the Egyptians when he sent Moses to free the Israelites was when he turned water into what? Shout along at home if you know the answer to this.
It turned water into something else.
He turned water
And
into something else, and then he unleashed this plague on the Egyptians.
And the plague was, I'm going to turn all your water into a different substance.
Yes.
That substance was a substance. I don't know.
Well, think about what. I mean, plagues aren't good, are they? So it's not going to be sugar or beer.
No, it's not going to. No, I was thinking wine, but I was thinking, no, that's a good.
Wine.
That'd be a good thing. But it's got to be liquid, hasn't it? It's got to be a liquid.
It is a liquid.
Yeah. Okay, he's turning it into. Oh my. I don't know, milk.
What?
Well, milk goes off, doesn't it? Milk goes off.
No, the answer was blood, which is quite which I thought you'd get at because I thought you were an expert on the Bible. I thought you knew.
That's all Old Testament stuff, mate. I'm not bothered about that.
Second question: the Nile is the world's longest river. To the nearest mile, I'm going to give you 100
mile.
I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you 100. I'm going to give you 100. No, actually, I won't because you're being a bit of an idiot today. So, to the nearest mile, how long is the River Nile? To the mile, it flows north to south or south to north, whichever you want to look at it. South to north from the East African highlands to the Mediterranean Sea. I'll give you 100 miles, Ken, because I'm in a good mood and I'm going to watch football later on.
It's
How long is the River Nile?
3,520.
You see, if I'd given you to the nearest 700 miles, you might have got that right.
Oh.
But I didn't. So the answer is 4,189 miles or 6,741 kilometres.
Yeah, but the first 700 miles doesn't count because it's a stream.
Right.
It's the stream, Nile. Anyway.
Right.
Go on.
Last one. Ancient Egyptians.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't ask anything about Egypt without it being like ancient Egyptians, can you? Because that's like the most interesting.
You can't.
Ancient Egyptians believed the god Anubis weighed what bit of the human body to see if the person would be allowed into the afterlife?
Careful. Careful, Ken.
If they were weighing that of yours, mate, we wouldn't even notice the scales. So, which part of the human body did they weigh? This does make sense if you think about this.
The heart.
The heart is Ken's answer.
Yay.
You've redeemed yourself at the end there. I mean, it's one of those 95th minute goals when you're already 2-0 down that doesn't really matter.
Salah special.
But everybody, but at least you go home with something. At least you go home with something if you haven't left already. Not bad, mate. Not bad. 1 out of 3 is all right, isn't it?
Right. No, I've never had a 3 out of 3 though, have I?
No, you never 3 out of 3. Right, before we get to our predictions and finish off the podcast for today, a very quick word on the manager. Who is the manager of Egypt? Well, he's an exceptionally well-known character in Egyptian football called Hossam Hassan. He's only been the head coach of Egypt for a little while, since early 2024. I think he's only had 12 games. And he took over when Egypt was eliminated after the 2023 African Cup of Nations. But he is a national hero. He is a national hero in Egypt because he holds the record for the most goals scored for the national team. Salah is hot on his heels. It should be said, so he might just drop him. When he gets within about three goals of his record, he'll just probably drop him and say, I'm never playing you again because I want to keep my record. 69 goals, he will. 69 goals.
How far is Salah behind him? Do we know?
Well, he's got 69, and Salah. What do we say? Salah's got 60, didn't we?
Yeah.
So how many goals is he behind him, Ken?
9.
Well done, mate. Well done. That wasn't part of Kenny's quiz, but I'll give you a point for it nonetheless. Yeah, so he's 9 behind. So when Salah gets 8, when Egypt win 8-0 in the next
Yeah.
qualifying game, that's his international career over.
Yeah.
All
Thanks.
over.
But I think you're on the wane, Mo.
Yeah. 69 goals in 177 appearances. He is regarded as one of the best players in African football history and is the 15th most capped player in men's international football. He was a prolific goal scorer. Second in the list of Egyptian Premier League all-time goal scorers, and listen, he's considered one of the best players in all time. To the point where, and I love this because it gives hope for the rest of us. Aged 40, he was still playing and winning the African Cup of Nations. Aged
Blimey.
40. That's
Wow.
pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
He began managing in 2008. He was a club manager for about 16 years before going into international management, rather. And of his 12 games in charge of Egypt, he's won 8 of them, drawn 3, and lost 1. So he's got off to a good start.
Yeah,
But a little bit too early just to say how he's going to get on. But it's good to see. I love it when we get big names in management and players and people who are just very, very well known. And I like it when they are sort of national heroes, if you like. Because they're not over there. In fact, anywhere else in the entire world other than England, these kind of national hero figures are treated with absolute respect and love,
Yeah.
and everybody wants
Yeah.
them to do well. In England, everybody wants them to fail miserably and do badly
Yeah.
so they can moan at them.
It's much funnier, though, much funnier when you take that approach, though, generally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But we wish him well. So that's Hossam Hassan. So we're going to finish off the podcast as we always do. And that's a prediction. And Ken, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. So, obviously, they've never won a game at the World Cup ever before. They will win a game this time. It's my prediction. Remember, they're 34th in the rankings. It's a 48-team World Cup. That would suggest that they're in there on merit. So I think they'll win the first game. I think they'll get through the group stages. I think they'll be quite exciting to watch. I mean, if you've got Marmoush and you've got Salah playing, you've got a chance. You've always got a chance. I don't think they'll be particularly successful defensively, particularly against the good teams. So I think their best bet, and I think he knows it, is to go and score goals. In the 9 games they've played recently where they've conceded 2, they've scored 16. I mean, they do score goals. They do know how to create chances, but they are just going to be very susceptible against the better teams. So I think they'll win the first game. I think they'll get through the group stages on that basis. First time they come up against a really good team, I think they're going to struggle. So I think they're going out in round 32.
This is the top heaviest team in the world, I think. Between Salah and Marmoush, you've got a combined market value of 120 million pounds or something.
Least.
Maybe more, yeah, maybe more. Everybody else on the team is sort of like about 7 million, 10 million, something like that. So they've got 2 superstar players and they have to carry them through. It makes them a very dangerous team. I wouldn't want to deal with Salah and Marmoush playing together in the same team. If I was a centre half, I don't care who I play for. I wouldn't want to deal with either of those two, especially on the same team. But it does, as you said, and you've kind of hit the nail on the head. It makes them very, very, very dependent on the form and indeed the health and the fitness of 2 key players. Because if Salah picks up an injury the week before the World Cup, or even Marmoush, do you know what I mean? But on the basis they're all going to be fit, I also think they're going to get out of group stages. I think they'll probably win a game or draw 3, because often that can do the job. I think they get out of there, but that's it. That's it for me. Out of the group stages, well done to Egypt. They'll go home having been beaten in the round of 32, but having got further than ever got in a World Cup in the history of the country.
So we agree. They're going home at round of world. That's all dependent on they don't miss their plane.
Yes.
They've got to actually get on the flight. But that's fair enough. And that's good. That's another one we agree on. Next week, Colombia.
Colombia, brilliant. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Meantime, how can people get hold of us, Ken?
Well, best thing to do probably is to send us an email. By the way, you can always subscribe and leave a review as well and share the podcast because we appreciate that. Lots and lots of people are listening to it, but we would love to hear your thoughts. So the best thing to do, send us an email, road to World Cup 26 at gmail.com. That's road to World Cup 26 at gmail.com. We always read them. We always like to receive them. And there's a pretty good chance you'll end up being featured on the podcast.
We're all over Twitter. We're all over Instagram. We're all over YouTube. So you can find us on there as well. Until until next week, when we go to Colombia and all the exciting things that I have to bring, have a great week. Look after yourself.
Enjoy your football match, Nick. Enjoy your 0-0 draw this afternoon.
Do you know what? It's not going to be 0-0 draw. England are going to win 5-0 today. That's my prediction.
1-0.
No,
5-0. 70 minutes.
Just don't. Yes, until then, be kind to each other, look after each other, look after yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.